In this video, I'm going to talk about some of the things that get in the way of us sticking to a budget and why budgeting is pretty difficult. If you have heard any of our Money Coach presentations or watched any of our videos, there's a good chance that you have seen us break down budgeting into these 3 steps. Set money aside into your savings account first, cover all of your needs, and then spend whatever else is left on whatever you want. And it's a pretty simple concept when it's broken down that way, but just because it's simple does not mean that it is easy. If you talk to anyone that's tried to keep a budget for a long period of time, they'll tell you that it's really challenging. There are things that make budgeting a pretty difficult thing to do. So when we ask students this question, what are things that get in the way of you sticking to a budget? Their responses typically fall into one of these 3 categories. The first is mental mistakes, and what I mean by that is ways that we maybe justify purchases that we make, or ways that we kind of fall victim to some clever marketing tactics. For example, maybe like sales or something like a limited time offer, or things like that where we say, I need to spend money even though I didn't plan to spend money on this sale. It's such a great deal, like I have to take advantage of it. So that's one of the things we often hear. The second and probably most common is social pressure. Like maybe your friends are going out to eat and you planned to eat at home or use your meal plan or something like that, and you want to spend time with your friends, so you decide, I'm going to go out and hang out with them and spend money on food or dessert or whatever. And there's kind of this social pressure that can also look like, in a way, this keeping up with the Joneses idea, where you spend to kind of fit in or fit a certain lifestyle or image or something like that. And then lastly, emotional spending. This is where maybe you had a bad day at school or a bad day at work, and you kind of do retail therapy, they call it. You want to go buy something to make yourself feel better. I know for me, that typically looks like buying food. I like to buy food to make myself feel better. And while there are certainly worse ways to cope with negative emotions than spending money, if you're really trying to watch your budget, this can be a pretty dangerous thing to fall into. So my point in talking about all these is not necessarily to tell you that we have an easy answer, but it's really to get you thinking about how these things interact with the way you spend money. And it's really kind of about finding a balance between your financial capital on one hand and your social, emotional, and mental capital on the other. If these are out of balance, you might be super, super frugal and have a lot of financial capital, but you're never ever spending time with your friends. You're never kind of treating yourself. You're not doing things to take care of your mental health that might cost even just a little bit of money because you want to hit some financial goal. And that's not necessarily a super fulfilling lifestyle, or it may not be for many of you. On the other hand, you might constantly be going out and spending money with your friends or buying things to make yourself feel better, but you have no financial capital, and that's not necessarily a great place to be either. And so you want to find a balance that works for you. And I'm not going to tell you necessarily what that balance is for you. The point is that you kind of investigate your own values and determine what is most important. Is it financial security? Is it spending time with important relationships? Is it your mental health? And how can you find the balance between these things? You want to know how all of these different areas influence the way that you spend money, because they do, right? Your family, emotions, all these gadgets, all these things affect the way that you spend money. And I think it's a really healthy thing to think about how they interact with the way you spend money. Now, if you would like to talk more about values and how maybe your particular values affect the way you specifically spend money, you can schedule an appointment with a money coach by going to iadvise.ou.edu or sending us an email at moneycoach@ou.edu. Thank you for watching this video.